Hi, I'm Micki.
Hi, I'm Kat.
We are Cat and Mouse Astrology. Welcome to the second full moon in Capricorn. Yeah, here we go again.
Climbing those mountains.
Enough of it the first time. So yeah, another Capricorn full moon. And this one's a dilly.
All right.
This puppy is really a dilly. I'll go ahead and share the screen. We've got a
Yeah.
Pluto opposition that is going to keep us awake. We
But
gotta
it's been rough. It's been a rough week. Okay.
Yeah, and this is of something we're going to
Oh.
feel for a while.
Oh.
So
I
we
didn't realize it was a Pluto moon thing. Wow.
right. And actually, I took it too far because we're really at the 29th degree.
Oh yeah, you did.
I
That's
for
okay.
some reason I was matching up the moon and Pluto, but really
Interesting.
this is at the
So you just gotta go back like 2 hours.
yeah. That's let me go back to that. There,
Keep it coming.
there we
There.
go.
Okay.
30 and 20.
Oh,
That's pretty close.
look at that square between Mercury
Yeah.
and the Uranus Mars thing.
Yep. So
Oh gosh.
back square with Mercury, Uranus.
Square with
Mars
Mercury.
has just moved off, so we're at a place where Mars is still conjunct by degrees. It's within 5 degrees, but it's now moved in on it's the zero most potent degree, 29
Yeah,
30 of Gemini.
right.
Um, where we're at with this, with the 29 degrees, if you go back just 30 minutes before this, you'll have Mars at the 29th degree.
Right.
And that is also with Neptune at the 29th degree. This is where I feel the huge change. And it's
Uh,
not
uh,
like I talked about before, being at the center of the whirlwind, you're not being whipped around. All that energy is going on around you. But if you step one direction or another into something, you're going to start to feel that
right.
wind.
Okay. Well, that might depend on how centered you are.
Correct. And how this is hitting your chart.
Right. Right.
What
Okay.
particularly is going on with your chart. So for me, 29 degrees of Pisces, I've got my Venus at 29 degrees of Virgo.
Mm,
So it's been opposite my natal Venus for
hmm.
a year and will be for like another year or so. I mean, almost 8 months or something. And if you have anything at 29 degrees of Capricorn, well, this is a big deal.
Mm,
Major change. And with Pluto right here, Pluto's going to back up to 29 degrees of Capricorn shortly. Well,
hmm.
in Pluto's time shortly. This reflection, this second time around, remember the first full moon was at the early degrees of Capricorn, Cancer. Now we're
Right.
the signs. This is definitely showing a culmination of I'm going to call it a process we've been going through
Yeah.
in the Capricorn Cancer areas of our life. That's what's being reflected upon. But
Yeah.
then, but then what's going on for you in Taurus?
Yes.
So there's huge change here. And then we have the 29th degree of Pisces. And that these are the transpersonal planets when we're talking about Pisces and Uranus and Pluto.
Hmm.
Transpersonal meaning that rather than having the day-to-day impact on our lives, we watch the moon for that. We watch Mars and Mercury, Venus for that. For the day-to-day impact, we want our personal planets. They're the things that have we want to pay attention. Is something going to happen today? I have to give a talk. Do I want the right configuration for Mercury? But that's not the case with these long-term transpersonal planets, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, because they're more of a hum in the background.
They're
They're
more generational things.
they're generational, they're a tone.
Yeah. They go on for a decade
They
or
go on
more.
for a decade. So how was it, when we think back about the last decade of Pluto and Capricorn, how you feeling about that?
That
Well,
does explain my like low key unemployment.
so now we're, for some reason, well, for the astrological reasons shown, we're going to step back into that for a reminder of what it was all about the last 12 years in this big picture, deep dig way. What
Mm,
did Pluto and Capricorn mean for us as a species, as a planet, as a community, as a family?
mhm.
And this is really shining a light on all of that.
Yep.
So I think it's a good time for a pause and reflection.
Ah, it's a reflective full moon.
That's what I'm seeing. It's Cancer.
Yeah, it is a lot of points here right at the cusp of things, and which makes it seem like a very potent transitionary period, moving from one thing to another.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I mean, I feel the transition. Now we've got retrogrades going on. Of course, we've got um Pluto's retrograde, Saturn's retrograde, Neptune's retrograde. Uh, Mercury is just about to go retrograde. It's not,
Okay.
but it will at the end of this month. It's going to go retrograde back through Leo. And it might remind us, Venus being there too, that we had a big retrograde in Leo last year with Venus.
Yeah, we did.
So this is, again, I feel that these configurations are drawing our attention to that Cancerian past. What, we're our heartfelt home life, um, whatever it is we feel comfortable, wherever we curl up and can get comfortable, it's asking us to go there and reflect
Mm,
before these, well, as these big changes um gear up to pull us in this new direction, whatever that new direction is for each person.
hmm.
Now you're feeling this in your life, right? You're feeling
Oh
change.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm Aries rising, so the Cancer Capricorn axis is home life, work life. And I am in the midst of a big shift to be less involved in the day-to-day maintenance of the home life and be more involved in the outer world, career mode.
And that
And it's been like probably 12 years. 12 years of more so focused on the home life while I was raising my children, and now they're grown, and I can go do that thing where like women start their careers later kind of thing. Not that I didn't already have a career, but you know what I'm saying. I'm making money. Finally be making money. Oh,
Yeah, it's such a big shift. And that, it's that same axis for me, as a Libra rising. It's also Cancer Capricorn is where the square is, so where the shift is taking place for me as well. But it's opposite
yeah.
than Cat because of Libra being the focus. So my home life is my work life, and my work life is my home life. As a Libra, it's all backwards and screwy, which makes sense for me. But wherever this access is, it's reflecting a big change. And the big change is obviously happening in the world at large, as above, so below,
Right.
and so without. So the tension that we're feeling, I think that we need to be really kind to each other as we experience this tension, because it's if we're feeling it ourselves, we need to realize other people are feeling it too,
That's right.
right? So what else do you
Be
see?
kind. You can always be kind,
Always
even if you hold your boundaries and protect yourself. You can always be kind.
strong boundaries help us to be kind even more effectively.
It's true. It's
It's
true.
true. So what do you think of the square with the Mars and or sorry, with the Mercury and Mars that's coming up. Sorry, no, Mercury and Uranus, brain.
Mercury Uranus square just seems like challenges with communication. I don't know.
It feels like a pity.
Yeah. It's hard to talk to each other sometimes.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I just mentioned to you in private that I was doing a different kind of video, not an astrology video with somebody, and they outed me as an astrologer, and I wasn't comfortable with that.
Mm.
And that sort of feels like maybe this configuration a little bit for me. It's a Uranus thing. It was an unexpected, like, ooh, why did you say that?
Oh, unexpected, uncomfortable messages. Ooh,
Yeah,
conversations.
yeah, unexpected messages that may be difficult.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just take this opportunity to point out that just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean you're necessarily in danger.
Right.
There's some weird thing in our cultural zeitgeist right now where people feel like because they're uncomfortable with something, then something is terribly wrong. But uncomfortable is really just like pushing you to the edge of your boundaries. And sometimes you can cross boundaries, sometimes you can give a little more space. Being uncomfortable is not a problem. It just means it's something new. Someday you'll be fine with people knowing you're an astrologer. Maybe. Maybe.
Maybe, we'll see. That's right. And I'm happy to be an astrologer in the context of being an astrologer. What I don't want is for in a non-astrology context for people to bring it up and then there's questions like, oh, well, what do you mean by that? What do you do? And then I feel like I have to defend astrology to non-astrologers who don't believe in it and
Uh,
suddenly feel negatively about me because they think I'm a whack-doodle because I follow astrology. And
okay.
um, when I'm in that situation, I typically remind people that astrology was the first science. And if you go back to all of the greats that we consider scientists that our foundations are based on, they were astrologers, including
Yeah.
Ben Franklin. Ben
Yep.
Franklin was an astrologer.
See,
Yep. So
you just need to practice your communication skills on how to respond to people. There you go. So you won't be
defensive.
so um such a surprise next time. So you won't be caught off guard in the future. It's one
Is
of the things I learned in my creating healthy relationships group therapy. It's like
not
you can practice your responses ahead of time so that you're comfortable giving the responses that you need to for things, you know, just by saying, I'm not comfortable with that. Instead of like going along with things that you don't want to do. But
and
comfort in and of itself is not necessarily a bad discomfort.
and that's a really important advice for a Libran.
Mm,
Because we don't like to make anybody uncomfortable, and we ourselves don't want to be uncomfortable because we want that balance and the stasis and everything to be status quo, and we're trying to keep everything in balance. And when things throw you off, you know, uh, it's a natural Libran trait to want to make it right again. It's hard to
right.
deal with that discomfort, and I think you're right. Holding space for allowing yourself to grow your boundaries a little bit. Might be
Yeah.
good. Might be good.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
But that's me being an Aries, like burn it all down. We can start fresh.
Well, I think it's also interesting that, Mercury is going to go retrograde. So this is not the first time that Mercury is going to play with Uranus.
Oh gosh.
Right? This is not the last time. This is the first of 3 times that
Okay.
Mercury, Uranus are going to square. This is square one. So one thing that I like to do in my personal life is to like look back at this. So here is this day with this square, and Mercury's fairly quick, but not like the moon. It's not going 2 hours at a time. So I
Right.
Mercury transit 3 days. What goes on? Keep a astrology journal. What's going on over that 3 day period of time? Starting with this full moon, day before, day after. Um, that impacts unusual, uh, changing, maybe dynamic speech, This could also be communication that is, again, unexpected or of a technical nature. You know,
Yeah.
maybe you get a new computer. That would also be a Uranus, and you have trouble setting it up.
Micki wants a new computer.
You could tell. That could be a Uranus Mercury square. You know, that's communication, that's technology, because Uranus isn't always change. It's also those things that are cutting edge. It's lightning flashes.
Right.
You could be inspired. You could have like a whoa, sudden insight. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, but I don't have a piece of paper
Mm,
where the square is.
be prepared.
Right? So there's a whole lot behind this Mercury square Uranus that I think is important for us to look at, because it's going to happen again, and then it's going to happen again. 3 times.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what Mercury is for this full moon.
Excellent.
Okay, 26 Leo. Daybreak, the luminescence of dawn in the eastern sky.
Ooh, that's what we need.
That's what we need.
We need a dawning.
Yep. Daybreak.
It will be the age of Aquarius. No, it's not quite. Well, you know, it's a long dawning.
It's a long dawn. It's a transpersonal.
That's
The
right.
transpersonal dawning.
Only that day dawns to which we are awake. There is
Who's waking up?
there is more day to dawn. The sun is but a morning star.
Mm.
Thoreau, H.D. Thoreau. So we've got read that degree one more time.
Daybreak, the luminescence of dawn in the eastern sky.
Sweet. And that's 26 Leo.
That's 26 Leo.
So what is 26 Taurus?
26 Taurus, an old Indian woman selling beads.
I don't
There-
get anything with that. How do you interpret that?
I don't know. Are they prayer beads? Should we be praying for the dawn of a new day? Should we be praying for more people waking up to a new dawn?
An old Indian woman selling beads feels plutonic,
Okay.
in that, you know, we're talking about indigenous peoples, deep past,
Mm.
things that would have been part of a history,
Mm-hmm.
right?
We're also talking about trade and the sharing of valuable things. And oftentimes, if we're talking about beads and indigenous cultures, we are talking about story keeping and storytelling, because those were forms of language and record keeping, and the way beads were
Yeah.
patterned and woven.
Oh, that makes sense. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, the beads, in fact, are a meaning making thing.
Beads are meaning making things. Absolutely.
That's right. Whether you're counting them as a rosary, whether they're as a Buddhist beads on your arm, whether they're keeping track of, you know, an abacus to keep track of how much of something there is, or just counting. Yeah, it's a meaning making.
Right.
There's
Whether they're, I don't remember what it's called, but in the Eastern Coast, where the founding fathers learned democracy from the native people, and there's that beaded compact of the Confederation of the Eastern tribes.
that, yeah. And that, so again, notice the trine with
Yeah.
Pluto and the moon.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the first thing that comes to my mind, which I'm going to admit that I can't interpret in the general way I want to. I'm taking a class now on sacred geometry, and um, you know, I can't help but notice that we've got a very interesting configuration here.
Two kites going on.
Yeah, and I'm sure Rick Levine could interpret this, but I can't yet. I'm gonna learn more about it. But there's a lot of um, positive energy. There's a lot of strength in this.
Mm-hmm.
And here's one thing that I learned recently. When we think of Cancer, we think of comfort, right?
Okay.
Cancer is is the sign, like, where, again, where you go home, where you find comfort. That's the place, like, if you're looking for, like, I need relief, find where Cancer is in your chart, because
Mm.
that's where you can find your relief. That's where you can get your breath of fresh air. Hopefully, if you don't have, Mars there, so, but even then, maybe it's the Mars in Cancer that allows you, like, you smelt her jewelry, and that's where, why that's where your relief can come from. So
Mhm.
Cancer can mean comfort, and comfort means strength.
It really does.
It means strength. So what I see from all these blue lines, the trines and the sextiles here, is there's a lot of strength in this chart to make the change that we're ready to make.
It's like there's a lot of support, because
Yeah.
why is it home? Why is it's like the strength of Cancer is that it's the place, I think, home as the place where you can fall apart. And there's support there to hold you while you fall apart and help you put yourself back together. And so this chart is like, it has all of these sextiles and these trines, and there's just like you've got Jupiter and Venus and a sextile together. That's beautiful. And then you've got Jupiter and Neptune or Mars and Neptune in a sextile together, and Neptune and Pluto and the moon in a sextile together, and a trine between the moon and Mars, and and then a trine between Neptune and the sun, and it's just all kinds of trines and sextiles, and there's that one difficult square, but there's so much support.
Exactly. There's a lot of square, and so that would be another, maybe, what do we do with this? And that's something I'm always trying to look at in my life, is like, what's good timing for, like, if I have to have a hard conversation with somebody about a change that needs to be made, well,
Oh,
this might not be the best time for it on some level, because, you know, Uranus and Mercury are not in good configuration.
yeah, just because the communication would be difficult, but that doesn't mean there's not a whole lot of support.
And that's just it, is it maybe, in fact, when you look at all the support around, it's not ever going to be easy to have that tough conversation or to make that tough change. And
Mhm.
look at all the support that's around, again, with the, as you pointed out, with the Jupiter Venus sextile, that's really lending support to Mercury.
Well, and because we're going to be going through that Mercury Uranus thing 3 times, it's like you're going to hit this conversation 3 times.
That's
And
right.
you might not get it all out right the first time,
Right.
but sometimes you got to start things and try again.
As Mercury retrogrades, you may go back over things that are relevant to whatever this change is, or this difficult conversation related to change or technology or a future that wants to be different. And as you go back over things, you may change your mind.
Absolutely.
So when it gets that, again, it's going to go back and hit it backwards, and then it's going to go back and hit it forwards again. So however you're thinking about this now, that thinking may change, and you'll have two more opportunities after this to address this, whatever this is.
Yeah. Whatever's going on in Taurus for you
Right.
with Uranus and Mars, although Mars won't be there much longer. I want to see what the sun and the moon are.
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm going to do the sun first.
Okay.
Cancer 29, a daughter of the American Revolution.
Oh, huh? Yep. Pluto going back into Capricorn.
and Capricorn. 29, yeah. Oh, directors of a large firm meet in the secret conference.
Yeah. So if we're feeling like, gosh, it's really hard to deal with this stuff, keep in mind the blue energy. There's all those blue lines and all this positive energy.
Okay, all the blue lights. Okay.
Right. Pluto is going to be in Capricorn through the American election,
Mhm.
and it won't be going back into Aquarius until 2025. So
Yeah.
we've got really from now until 2025 of digging through ugly imperialist thinking that we really want to be finished with. We want to compost and move forward.
We really got to root out the imperialist thinking.
Yeah, but we're gonna have all this time another revamp. Pluto's, and with the moon there is emotional. With the sun shining a light on it, we're all looking at it. And this is the second full moon in Capricorn, and it's heralding a, our upcoming American election. But the happiness for the future is it's not gonna stay there. It's gonna come back into the house of the people.
Right.
And it will be the people's choice, the people's decision to,
Of the people, by the people, for the people, not for the corporations.
right, to move us to the future that we want to be in. Not the future that's dictated to us because somebody wants us to buy something from them.
Those directors at those large firms.
These
No culture but consumerism.
these ladies of the American Revolution seem to be in support of the directors in their boardroom.
Yeah, they do. They're right up there with the daughters of the Confederacy,
Yeah,
keeping statues of genocidal slavers up and roundabout.
but we're not going to get political here.
Everything is political, Micki. What we're not going to do is get into politicking. What are some other degrees we want? Do we want Gemini, Mars, Gemini?
Oh, definitely. What's Mars? Mars is such an important one. It's
Right?
now just moving to Gemini.
What's the first degree of Gemini?
We're still at 0, but
0. That's right. Oh, it's the glass bottom boat revealing sea wonders. It's the Mars revealing what's hidden underneath.
oh, and isn't that fascinating? So Mars just is still in conjunction with Uranus.
Yeah.
Has been in conjunction with Uranus, and again, this kind of a transit is, you might not notice it while you're in it. You might have to look back and go, "Wow, that's when everything changed in my
Well,
life."
that's when everything changed. Yeah, exactly.
And we know from recent political events other ways that Mars Uranus can impact on the larger stage.
Right.
So that's Mars obviously can be warfare and military and
Aggression,
aggression. That's right. And Uranus,
cutting things out.
right, Uranus being sudden and unexpected and that sort of thing. But this is also happening in our personal lives someplace. So again, I think it's, we've talked about the axis of Capricorn and Cancer, but there's still this Taurian weight. I'm not even sure if weight's the right word. This Taurian,
Mass.
I'm thinking of like, what's that cartoon character that makes a big mess? The devil,
The Tasmanian devil.
Tasmanian devil. I feel like Uranus is sort of the Tasmanian devil in Taurus.
Oh,
Because there's no positive or negative to Uranus.
yeah.
A lot of negative connotations on Pluto because it's representing the deep and the dark, and those
I
are
don't think of that as negative. I think of that as helpful.
well, right, because we can compost it, we can use it if we know
Yeah.
how to, if we do shadow work. But
Yeah.
Uranus is really, there's no negative and there's no positive. It's just change. Change isn't thinking about you when it changes.
Yeah, no, it just makes me think of Octavia Butler, Seed to Harvest. God is change, shape change.
Yeah.
Change is the only constant. What are you going to do with it? It's going to come. How are you going to work with it?
And it reminds me of the proverb, the old man is asking, his son goes off to war, everybody's going off to war, and his son gets injured and he doesn't get to go become a hero like all of his neighbors do. And
Yeah.
oh, no big deal, it's okay, things change. And I'm telling this story badly. And then
Yeah.
and because he's injured, he doesn't get killed in the war. And anyway, I won't continue to mangle that story, but change, you don't know what's going to happen with the change. The change could be good, the change could be bad. And by worrying over the change, you actually can create the negativity that you're trying to avoid.
That's right. That's right. It's like I keep reminding the people around me that it really doesn't do any good to worry over things that you can't control.
Right.
You're just messing up your own system.
That's right. That's right. So stay positive, stay centered in the whirlwind, and
Do your shadow work as always.
do that shadow work. Yep. And leave in the comments below how things happened at this full moon for you. I want to know. And we'll see you on the new moon.
Bye.
Bye.